Have with us Sahar Mustafah. Call herself as daughter of Palestinians, and this is what I wrote in my advertisement or the poster, because that touched me a lot. When I read it in your book, and when I always see that you're writing that it is really, really close to your heart, Palestine and being the daughter of Palestinians. But what has been happening in Palestine from past 3 weeks, it's really heartbreaking. I would, to be honest, say I haven't slept well, because I always imagine, being a mother, I always imagine my child to be in that place or myself in that position. And, and when I saw those videos of kids screaming or being bombed, or somebody calling as David and say, you have 50 seconds to vacate your house. Or I see the pictures of, small kids trying to find in the rubbles their balls or their toys or their bicycles. And then yesterday I saw another video of like a man, and who was saying, I mean, it was really evil what he was saying, like, we have to wipe out all the Palestinians, and especially the children, because they are going to be the future terrorists. So it's easy to kill them as child other than when they grow up. So, I mean, imagine, all these things. And then I do not know what's happening there, because the media is so controlled. So, what is happening is not currently coming out in the real pictures. All the offices of the major one who were doing like a fair reporting are being bombed. All the bookshops are bombed, libraries are bombed, hospitals are bombed, volunteers, frontline workers, ambulances. There's nothing. I would say it's a very systematic way of destroying, a country, a economy, a place, and a people. So, I mean, there are so many things I want to discuss. So I would just start with the first thing, that how do you feel as a Palestinian?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. It's always so wonderful talking with you, Sana, and I really appreciate your solidarity. I also want to begin with this, sort of statement of privilege. So here I am talking to you from the safety, of my home. I'm in the States. I'm in America, and this is something that I grapple with. I write about, but when this sort of horrific bombardment happens, it surfaces, and I feel helpless. So, I try to very immediately be as supportive in ways of education and spreading information, particularly among non-Arabs, non-Palestinians, who really, really are just ignorant, of this political reality. And what they get is exactly what you were referring to, is a very skewed, a very biased, and mostly, a Zionist lobby, interpretation of what's going on there. So it's hard to even get people to read the fact-based sources. So I've just been trying to disseminate information as much as I can. And, sometimes I feel like, well, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and really, is that enough? And, I've always financially supported organizations, and that's basically what I've been sharing with folks, and especially with readers who follow me. So I also want to say, please go to my link tree on Instagram, where you can look me up, Sahar Mustafah, and you can find those sources and resources, just to further education and to directly support humanitarian organizations there. So that's that. I could have said quite briefly that I feel pretty lousy, even with the ceasefire, Sana. That is not an end to the occupation.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
That's I want to say, that the damage is done. And
yeah,
what, as a person who wants to support Palestinians, can do right now,
yeah. And
because
so
this is the
it's
moment they need our support more than ever.
more than ever, and the struggle continues. So just
Yeah.
because it's a ceasefire, that doesn't end basically the destroyed lives of so many Palestinians, and particularly in Gaza, who survived the bombardment. Right, we were just talking about all those horrific numbers, and we're talking about every aspect of their community and society in Gaza. And I posted about this today. This is how we dispossess a people. You know, we take away their access to education because the schools are destroyed. We take away their access to healthcare, you know, because hospitals are bombed. And it is just, you know, to me, more and more evidence of ethnic cleansing that, you know,
Yeah.
we just need to name this. We just need to name
And I
it.
also want to say that
Yeah.
it's not a religious.
No,
No,
but of
it's
course,
not.
that's what
It's
that is,
being
of
shown
course.
in the media like that, that if you support Palestinians, it's something anti-Semitic or, you know, but it is
Oh,
not.
yes. And of course, it's also aiding, you know, radical Islamists, you know, when we think about Hamas. And it's quite conveniently ignored that, you know, Palestinians are going to engage in armed resistance because they are under military occupation. And in no way, in no form equals, you know, what they live under on a daily basis. And, you know, when we look at the death toll, you know, there it's not balanced.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I
because
mean, these
when you see the
yeah,
reality, when you read the books, when you talk to people, you figure out it's the Israelis who are doing that cleansing, who are treating even the Palestinians who are in Israel as a second-class citizen. They don't have rights equal to a, you know, a Jew living there.
and then, you know, that's where the ignorance come in. There's the argument that, you know, we come across like on Facebook, on social media, or even people, you know, in our circles, like neighbors and people, like that are, well, but you know, Israel has a right to defend itself. But what about a people that basically has had, you know, land stolen from them, have not been able to, you know, put down roots because you know, they are just constantly pushed off of their land. And I'm talking about the illegal settlements, and of course what we're seeing in, the neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah. And that sort of, you know, dispossession is just perpetual, and it's legal in, you know,
Yeah, in
inside of
their
the Israeli
terms, it's
government.
legal.
And
Yeah.
the US, of course, also endorses it because we are supporting them with our tax dollars. And what does that say about our values, Sana? You know, this idea that, you know, the Zionist colonial, settler project is being supported by US dollars. It says a lot about our values, and it shows just how, it shows basically the similarities. It's not anything that is so, outrageous to Americans. And Americans here don't know their own history. And you know, we also, you know, just really conveniently ignore, you know, a lot of the history. And, it's just really, it's just reoccurring, trauma, you know. And so, yes, you know, it might seem like there's going to be a settling down of violence, but Palestinians are still living under occupation, and that has not been addressed, and that continues to not be addressed because, you know, we have such a strong Israeli lobby in this country, and quite frankly, you know, in Europe, that
I think it's
until, you know,
everywhere,
citizens
Sahar,
rise
it's
up, yeah.
everywhere. I mean, I didn't
And
see any European country also coming out openly in support of Palestine.
nope,
There
but the
wasn't,
citizens, we saw
yeah,
beautiful, you
like
know,
the main Gulf
protests,
countries
but
coming out in support of Palestine. No,
but
they didn't
no, it's not
even put
there.
a condolence, you know.
Yeah, and so I take heart, in what I see in the streets, because that is also going to begin to spill into the way we vote and who begins to run for office, you know. And, I think, you know, the tides, are slowly turning. And, I don't know, you know, in my lifetime that might seem very, very, you know, dismal and a grim outlook, but you know, I am definitely clinging to hope. And spaces like this are so valuable because they continue, you know, to expand, you know, a narrative that has just been so controlled and, you know, just, you know, misinterpreted. So I appreciate it. It's, you know, I feel even now, you know, I'm not articulate because there's just, I just
So
felt so
emotional.
emotional, you
I know.
know. And fortunately, my family who live in Palestine, I don't have any relatives in Gaza, but I do have family in Hebron and Khalid, where they have been experiencing settler violence for decades, you know. But the rest of my family live, just outside of Ramallah, So fortunately, nobody has been physically harmed, but we have cousins who are just really suffering because of the economic, impact, and again, just not being able to thrive economically. So it's just been just so difficult to be seated here and watching this and hearing about it.
So, I mean, what do you suggest as we should do to support? First of all, continuously is like we keep supporting our physical support, also the emotional and the posts that we are sharing. It shouldn't stop. The movement shouldn't stop. It should continue.
Yeah. And I think,
And then the financial support to the
yes,
organizations for rebuilding all the damage that's currently been done.
And, organizations like the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, they also directly engage in medical and healthcare for children. But you know what I want to say about another, and tremendous duty and obligation is we have to pressure our government officials. So, we need to continue to reach out and sign petitions and, basically protest in front of embassies. I think that volume needs to continue to be on high, so our voices need to continue.
If it ceasefire, it doesn't mean that we have to stop.
To disturb and disrupt, our politicians, just daily regular affairs. And Palestine has to be at the forefront, and we need to also engage in BDS, which is the boycott, divestment, and sanctions. So we need to do that in our cultural communities, in our educational communities. So, there are, some universities that have adopted, boycotting Israel, which really, I think is just so wonderful, to see. But we also need to boycott products. We need to also raise our voices about things like arms sales, which, one is going on, as we speak, and that, we're working hard to disrupt that. So we need to really also hit Israel where it hurts, and that's financially. We see that Gaza has been suffering for 10 years under the blockade, and we need to basically enact those same kind of sanctions on Israel. And it's a lot of it is financial, and again, we just need to be very loud and clear about who we're electing, and that they have the Palestinian cause, at the forefront, of what they represent and what they stand for. And, these things also need to be sustained. So again, it can't be just like a one-time signing a petition, but, that energy needs to keep up, and I say that also for myself. So I have to be very intentional, very deliberate, even in my daily practices. There are all these wonderful apps that let you scan products, and immediately if they're in some way supporting Israel. Now, I realize that means that you're probably not going to be able to experience some of the things that you enjoy, but it's got to be that kind of, cultural shift, on the ground, really grassroots. And then again, there are then the levels that reach up to, our elected officials.
No, I really think so that we have to continue this. And I will put up the links in my YouTube channel for all the organizations, that are
and I continue to add,
That is very important, because there's so many sometimes approaching you and you are confused which one to support. But the one that are there in your link tree, I will also put in my YouTube channel.
Please do. Yeah, I know some.
You can directly click on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know some folks might be wary of, someone emailing them and saying, "I'm from Palestine. I really need aid."
Yeah.
I know it's hard, but the organizations that I endorse, they are reputable. They've been around for a while. They are, part of, larger, charity sort of watchdog, organizations, and I just think, again, we just need to maintain the energy and sustain, this moving force in all the ways that we can, especially, again, as I say, from a place where I am, relatively safe and I can do these things.
And I think the first thing is we need to support all these organizations to help resettle all the people and all the, displaced people, or the houses which are, or the organizations and, hospitals which are destroyed. So we definitely, I will also ask people, to contribute. That's the first thing they can do. And the second is to keep making the voice. As a taxpayer, you have the right to tell your government, where is your money going? If it's going to bomb the innocent children in Gaza, then you have the right to ask them to stop it. And as a human being, I also feel, everything as a soul. As a human being, you have a soul, as a city, as a country, as a world, So don't make this thing as unseen. And, it will be like a sin on that collective soul of, humanity.
Yeah.
And, it's like, some people say it's too, how do I say, it's triggering for them. They try to, shut down all the noises, what's happening, because it's too much. They don't want to know about it. But we cannot pretend that nothing is happening in the world out there. Just because it's not happening to you, it doesn't mean that it's not happening,
And I think, to extend on that, Sana, this is such a good point. I think we need to really understand and appreciate that this idea of, I'm going to shut it out. It's not happening here. I just, it's too triggering. But if this is happening in one part of the world, there's the danger of those kinds of, destructive values then spreading, you know what I mean, in other places. And we know this and we see this. So as human beings, as you said, we have to stand up for human rights. And that is the bottom line.
And I also urge the Jews to stand up, because you have to stop your children from getting brainwashed, to become Zionist, or to treat the children of Palestinian as even they don't have a human right, I see them talking about those children like they're not even human beings.
Oh, yes. Like, yeah. And it's tragic, because when we think about, the reality of the Holocaust, and, have we not learned those lessons? And, but it feels like this idea of, well, but only certain people deserve rights, right? And it's just completely atrocious and just asinine. I will say this, Sana, I feel heartened because the organization, the Jewish Voice for Peace, is just so amazing. And
so amazing, I recently discovered it, and I saw people are coming out.
Please, check them out, audience members, if you haven't. So there are also so many, American Jews who are on the side of Palestinians, and then Israeli Jews who are. And so we talked about, this is not a religious situation, but it's been made religious because that conveniently, is going to keep the ethnic cleansing.
And they are, I see also, like, still in the Europe, they are in that mode that they still feel guilty of what happened to Jews in World War II. And also, second thing is that the Zionist part of Israel is always playing the victim card, that they're being bombed by Hamas all the time, and it is defense. In the past, I was always saying it as a conflict, because I always read, the media always say it's conflict. So
or even war, I think, is just a complete inaccurate, depiction.
Exactly. So, I have stopped calling it as a conflict anymore. For me,
it's an occupation.
One-sided. It's one-sided and occupation, and
it's a military occupation. And I guess I'm also frustrated because not one people has a monopoly on trauma, and loss. Again, we're all human beings, and Palestinians deserve to thrive, to raise their children in a way that perpetuates, generations, who hopefully one day will not be living in a refugee camp, and under occupation. It's such a grim situation, and the fact that it's still going on is just horrendous, but
if
not shocking.
It will still take 3 generations, for the trauma to come out of. because as you wrote in your book also, it was
Yeah.
the second generation of
Yeah.
Palestinians, and still they feel, that tremors of the trauma that
Oh,
their
yes.
parents
Yeah.
transferred to them. And then I see it in the third generation as well. They
Oh,
still
yeah.
carry it. So
Yeah.
it's not, even if it ends today, it will still take 3 generations to
To
be at a
recover.
normal level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that definitely carries. And, as this is what my heart is in terms of fiction writing. And we talked about how, fiction, really
But this fiction has
disarms.
really played an important part
Yeah.
in activism, to bring
Yeah.
people to know what's happening. Because
I,
otherwise, if you don't tell the stories, how would we know?
Yeah, and it's so great because if people have read, something of yours and they really enjoyed it, then and when you come on social media and you say, here's what's going on, please, reach out, please support. It's so just amazing to see that response. So even again, I'm just trying to use my platform, as productively as I can, in
All of us,
solidarity.
all of us. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, I
And
was
so
thinking, what
thank
can
you
I
so
do,
much. Yeah.
more than what I'm currently doing? And then I was like, I just sent you a message that day that, I really want to talk about it, but I don't see myself in a position that, like how can I talk about it? I need to talk from someone who is more close and who knows it so much well than me.
Yeah.
My knowledge is all based on what I've studied or what I've talked to people from Palestine. And what comes out in the media,
Of
how much it
course.
comes out.
Yeah. And I really just so deeply appreciate this. If we had more opportunities in spaces like this, I think we would maybe be in a better position. But it's like I said, I feel like there is kind of a global shifting of attitudes. So inshallah khair is what we keep saying. And I also do want to stress, and this comes from dear friends of mine who remind me that we also have to take care of ourselves, because if we're going to do the work, we also need to be kind to ourselves. So just want to remind myself and folks of that. If you are thinking about Palestine and posting about it, even what feels like small gestures are so incredibly important. So there really is no small act. But we talked about there being these layers and these levels. We just have to keep moving up.
Yeah, we just have to keep moving up. And I think maybe we can do this again after every some time,
Yeah, definitely.
to
Yeah,
keep that momentum going.
I really appreciate that. It's been so
Thank you
lovely
so much,
speaking with
sir. It was
you.
really, really,
Thank you.
for your time that you took out during your weekday, and and
Oh,
I was
thank
able to
you.
talk to you. But it's also a stress relief for me. It
Yeah,
was
me
building up,
too. Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like it feels so good to see your face and to talk. I mean,
yeah,
these
to
are
talk to
these
you.
are hard things, but I feel heard, and I hope you have too. And that
Yeah,
is
because I
really,
was thinking,
it's a
as a
powerful
Palestinian, I
thing.
want to know what I can do from my
Yeah,
side, or what others who are like me can do, So
yeah,
we will
yeah.
keep up what we are doing, and we will try to support as much as we
Yes.
can and put
And
out the
thank you.
word.